Hi, I'm Miss Pace, and I wish I could be there with you in person tonight. However, I am not able to do that today. So I hope this brief video introduction will help give you a face to put with the name, as well as a little bit of more clarity on the course that I'm teaching for your students. Of course, at any time, feel free to email me with any questions or concerns. The first thing I like to do in my studio is set the ambiance. So I will often dim the lights. I will play music. I get music from the students. What I do on day one to get to know them a little better is we compile a shared anonymous Google Doc about what we're listening to these days, whether it's a favorite song, favorite musical artist, or lots of the above. And then I take all that information and I create a playlist that's customized for each individual class. I find that when I play music that they are into, they become more engaged and excited, and they're just overall more happy. I blend essential oils in the classroom. They're heavily diluted. I tend to be a little smell sensitive, so I don't overpower it. But if it's midterms or final exams, sometimes I'll blend some lavender to calm them down. If it's a typical cold and flu season, sometimes I'll blend some eucalyptus, which is clears stuffy noses and it's a natural disinfectant. Um, so that's the room setting. Um, One of the best compliments I got from a student one time was when a student said that stepping into this 3D studio felt like they were leaving Scituate High School for an hour. So I love that. The students have a lot going on, a lot of homework. High school's hard, relationships are hard, and I hope, at least for the hour that they're in here with me, they can let some of that go and get creative. I know it's hard to work on a bell system, and there's not a lot of time to warm up, and there's not a lot of time to clean up, and then you have to be completely inspired when you're making. So I know all of those things are challenging. The hardest part is when I have to tell them to clean up, and they're so engaged, and they say things like, I wish I could just be in this room all day every day. So when it comes to grading, um, it's tricky because everyone comes in at different abilities. So you can have a student who's trying their best, doing their best, able to meet all the benchmarks, but the end product is definitely going to look different from their classmates. So the bulk of the grade does come from the projects that we complete in class. I have a very in-depth rubric that I follow. It's in the Google Classroom. Um, you can email me if you want a copy of it. Um, it's pretty standard with all of the projects that I teach. The categories range from technical and craft, which I'll talk about a little bit in depth in a few minutes when I talk about the first project that they have completed. Um, are they taking their time? Are they measuring? Are they rendering what they see? Things like that. Creativity is a tough one for a lot of students because it's tough to think outside the box and and come up with things that are unique to the audience. So trying to expand on their concepts is a big component of their grade. Completion of assignments, making sure that they're turning them in within a reasonable amount of time and in the appropriate location as well, into the Google Classroom assignment. Digital documentation of everything that they photograph in here, not just photographing it, but photographing it well, making sure there's no distracting backgrounds, that they're photographing it in the photo booth, that they're in focus, they are cropped and rotated if need be, they're brightened if need be. I have very large classes this semester, so managing their space, managing the tools, being a respectful studio mate. It's too much for me to wash 100+ brushes and palettes at the end of each class. So the fact that they would be managing their tools and their workspace and leaving it in good condition or better than they found it condition for the next user. And self-direction, being a bit independent. I tend to talk for 5 to 15 minutes each class. I don't stand up at the front of the class and lecture for 60 minutes. If I'm doing a big demonstration, I keep it to 15 minutes or less. And then most days, it's a 5-minute recap of what we're doing, what the goals and objectives are, because a lot of our projects take a couple of days to complete. So being a bit independent, and then I definitely make sure to get around to each student several times throughout the remaining of the hour. Class participation, that's a big umbrella. There's a lot of things that fall underneath that, such as arriving to class on time, making the most of class time, maximizing your time in the studio. I don't give homework. So the exchange is that I'm hoping they get right to work when they're here. And again, they make the most of their time. When I am giving a demonstration, not abusing their cell phones, not texting while I'm giving a demonstration, I get easily distracted. So things like that might throw a curveball my way. So I ask that they don't take their phones out when I'm teaching a new material. We certainly need to use phones in here for reference a lot of the time, and there is time designated in class to do that, but not during a teacher lecture time. So what I do in Aspen under class participation, if a student is blatantly texting while I'm giving a demonstration, I don't actually call the student out and embarrass them. Instead, I'll go over to the computer, and in the portal where parents can see, I'll put the date and the student's name and just say inappropriate use of cell phone during teacher lecture time. Just a heads up for that. Making sure they're not going to the bathroom, my class, every class for 20 minutes. And I think that pretty much covers class participation. Worksheets and sketches are kind of the equivalent of like a quiz grade. We do a lot of warm-ups in here, making sure that they're documenting all their evidence and submitting it to their folder. And then the last part is their archived digital portfolio. This goes back to the photography of their work, making sure that they are making portfolio quality images of their work to be put into a slide presentation at the end of the semester. That is their midterm exam or their final exam, depending on where in the school year they have my class. At that point, if they like art and they want to continue their art career in high school, there's a lot of different directions that they can go in. They could choose to go in a more two-dimensional direction, into drawing, painting, printmaking. They could go into a three-dimensional direction, which is the classes that I predominantly teach, 3D1, 3D2, honors 3D. And we also have photography classes. So with Intro to Art, we tackle a lot of different materials. It's sort of an introduction to everything. So we're not really mastering anything, but we are trying drawing, we're trying painting, printmaking, photography, sculpture, clay, anything that the whole department has to offer, we teach in this Intro to Art class. So I have them start right away with sketchbooks, embracing drawing in pen, or drawing in pen, embracing mistakes. I encourage them to work in pen in their sketchbooks because mistakes are inevitable and such is life. And, you know, to kind of work with it and incorporate it. They do get better every single day. I've already seen it so far in the last 2 weeks, and this builds their confidence. So we will be doing some daily drawings in their sketchbooks. A lot of these are like do now or warm up. Probably out of time, but if you look in the hallway, you'll see one of our first projects that we did, which is a name tag tent. This was a nice early project during ad drop where I was gaining students and losing students by the minute. And I needed to get to know names a little bit better. And in this lesson, we talked about the importance of good typography, good signage, even spacing between letters, even height and width of letters, ample breathing room around the lettering, and then what's going to make it pop. We talked about foreground, background, positive, negative, and texturizing the background to make it pop. And then the importance of good photography. So if you go in the hallway, hopefully you'll see your students' work if they have completed it on time. Thank you for watching, and I hope to get to see you in person soon, and enjoy the rest of your night.